What up YouTube, it's Missouri's Company. It is our last video when it comes to covering the new update that just went live recently, and that's going to be covering all the balance changes, the nerfs and the buffs and the adjustments that have been made to both the skills as well as items for all of your favorite classes. Let's jump straight to it, guys. So first things first, Barbarian Skills. Hammer of the Ancients optimize the cast animation speed of the skill, which means it's probably going to be a little bit quicker. I like that. Cleave, cooldown reduced from 9 to 6 seconds. That's a 3-second drop off. That's a pretty phenomenal change. About 25% adjustment there. So Furious Charge, damage increased by 22%. That's a pretty noticeable improvement. Grab, cooldown reduced from 9 to 7 seconds. Added 2-second stun to thrown enemy. Greatly reduces initial grab animation, which is really good. Makes it a little bit more usable. Axe of the Ray, damage increased by 25%, cooldown reduced from 9 to 6. Lurker's Last Chance, channel damage increased by 29%, bleed damage increased by 25%. Screaming Fury, damage increased by 15%. Of course, I don't know what most of these do, but it's a lot of buffs. Tracker's Rage, Essence Mastery bonus now increases damage by 10, 13, 16, 19. Determination, damage increased by 15%. Collision with expanded to match Furious Charge. Okay, that also makes sense. Ram's impassive change distance increased from 5.5 to 7.5, added a 2-second stun. Okay, probably lining up with a lot of this. The Hewer, immune to loss of control and knockback effects during the skill. Improved turning ability, greatly reduces the sliding that occurred after the slam. Dash damage increased by 180%, smash damage increased by 38%. Okay, wow, a lot of buffs there. Sovit's Reach, cooldown reduced from 9 to 6 seconds. Okay, Blood Knight, interesting. That's a class that I'm currently on. So Blood Knight skills, Transfusion, shield amount increased by 16%. That feels pretty good. Spear Fury, damage increased by 25%. Not a lot of people using Spear Fury. Maybe they will now. Blood Knight items, only 4. Overrun, damage increased by 25%. Yeah, I don't remember what that is, but it's obviously having to do with Spear Fury. Damage increased by 20%. Berditch of Below, don't know what that is either. Pinch Point, players can now only be knocked airborne once every 3 seconds. Okay. Peer of the Curse, cooldown reduced from 15 to 12 seconds. Okay. Crusader items. So no skill changes for the Crusader. Okay, Faith Ascendant, Essence Mastery bonus now increased by 10, 13, 16, 19. Okay, a little Lance, ayo. Cooldown reduced from 15 to 12 seconds. Air Splitter, damage increased by 20. Arrant Ignition, damage increased from 6 to 10 seconds. Duration increased. Burn damage increased by 50%. Okay, wow. Time between skills activations reduced from 1.5 to 0.75 seconds. That probably feels pretty big. That's probably more of a quality of life change. Bone Bearer, Heavens, and all that, damage increased by 25%. Okay, interesting. Demon Hunter, multi-shot, damage increased by 20%. Wow. Sentry, cooldown reduced from 18 to 12 seconds. Damage increased by 39%. They are really trying. I cover this in all of the videos about the updates. They really want the sentries to work for the Demon Hunter. Okay, no longer causes you to lose life. A critical hit chance bonus reduced from 12 to 10%. So a bit of an adjustment, like a nerf, really. Critical hit chance bonuses reduced from 12 to 10. That's a nerf, straight up nerf, but also positive change in the fact that you don't lose life. But yeah, interesting. Runeous Path added a bonus to evasion rating that increases with Essence Mastery. Okay. Tar Black Rain, cooldown reduced from 12 to 10 seconds, improved animation speed, and added a short retreat upon cast. Interesting. Concentrated Coldness, instead of being chilled, enemies struck are now frozen for 2 seconds. Wow, that's a pretty massive change. Breath of Winter, damage increased by 20%. Flame Spite, shot damage increased by 20%. Burn damage increased by 20%. I want to say that's the flaming multi-shot. That feels pretty good. Pinpoint Overflow, damage increased by 56%. Wow. Tiresome Rebuke, damage increased by 20%. Whatever that one is. Cooldown reduced from 18 to 12, damage increased by 27. Frozen Guardian Sight, cooldown reduced from 18 to 12 seconds, damage increased by 48%. Okay. Artillery Masters Battle Helm, cooldown reduced from 18 to 12, damage increase. So these must all be for your sentries, which make a lot of sense. One owns Fusillade. Essence Mastery upgrades no longer increase the duration, instead increase the damage bonus per mastery level. Okay. Boar at the Door. This was a pretty good one. Reduced cooldown Cooldown reduced from 12 to 9 seconds. Damage increased by 17%. If I remember correctly, Bore at the Door, I don't know why that stands out, but I feel like that was a pretty good essence that I was using when I was on my Demon Hunter. Could be wrong, but it definitely stands out to me as one that was used in some of the builds. Monk skills, Inner Sanctuary, in Battleground, and Rite of Exile. Cooldown is increased from 20 to 24 seconds. Wow, increased. So that is a nerf to the monk. Okay, Mystic Allies, cooldown reduced from 30 to 25 seconds. Okay, that's a buff. Shield of Zen, shield amount increased by 15%. More of an adjustment than anything, like a tax. You can think of it like that. I'm not gonna know any of these names. So cooldown reduced from 30. Okay, that's gonna match the Mystic Allies. Shield amount increased. Okay. While executing Cyclone Strike, you are now immune to loss of control and knockback effects. That's a buff, especially to PvP. Added a bell in the middle at the position of the caster. Damage increased by 50%. Okay. Shields of whatever. Damage increased by 25%. Don't know what that would be tied to. Fixed no damage on secondary attack. Increased by 43%. Noble's Path. Cooldown reduced from 12 to 10 seconds. Endless Trail. Damage increased by 37%. That's a big number. Power of Undulation. Damage increased by 25%. Okay. Again, I don't recognize a lot of these essences by name. I wish they would have said, like, you know, main hand, or like what skill, like almost, I wish they would have put the whole description of the essence and then just showed what it was, like from red to green, like with it crossed out in red and then in green wherever the new number is, so you can actually make sense of this by reading it, you know. Necromancer skills, only one. Bone Spirit, damage increased by 25%. Makes sense. Nobody uses that I can remember, but I also haven't been on a Necro in a long time. Cooldown reduced from 17 to 12 to 9. I don't know where I got 17 from. Damage increased from 17. That's where I got it from. Golem attack damage increased by 25%. Golem leap damage increased significantly, roughly 580%. Good lord. I don't know what that is, but 580% is a bit insane. Draft Cryptic, cooldown reduced from 12 to 10. Strange Sojum, cooldown increased from 6 to 7.5. That's a nerf. Slice damage increased by 20. Bleed damage increased by 20. Cooldown until same player can be affected by knockback increased from 3 to 5. That's a nerf as well. Enemies damaged and affected by immobilize from bone spikes are now unable to use dash skills. Buff. A lot of more negative in the Necro than positives, in my opinion. Necro bug fix. Silvered Wings fixed a bug where the base damage was lower than the intended. The base damage has been increased by 10%. Wizard skills. Frostfield. Cooldown reduced from 16 to 14. Ice Crystal. Whoa. Cooldown reduced from 30 to 25. Interesting. Disintegrate. Damage increased? Dude. That's... what? Okay, I'm not gonna lie. If that is for all Disintegrate builds, most builds right now for the Wizard are using the Disintegrate ball that you just throw out and let it do a ton of damage, and that's 20% increase is going to make the Wizard even scarier. Ray of Frost damage increase. So between the Ray of Frost and the Ice Crystal, you could make a pretty notable build there again for the Ray of Frost and Ice Crystal. So that's really interesting. Frost Reaver's Garments, cooldown reduced from 30 to 25. Again, that just has to do with Ice Crystal. Yeah. Infernal Visage, increased resolution, speed of continual damage, and persistent ground damage effects reduced from 80 to 60. Resolution speed? I don't think I understand this one. But okay. Searing Judgment, beam damage increased by 20%, burn damage increased by 20%. These are the shoulders that everyone used to use. That's buff. Pads of Protection, damage increased by 20%. Don't know what that is. Assuming it has something to do with one of these two skills, though. Robes of the Avalanche, damage increased by 25%. That definitely has to do with Ray of Frost. Fanciful Finis, damage increased by 33. And then this one, immune to knockback effects while shielded. Interesting. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. I think, let's just review really quickly. So, like, Wizards got buffed. Necro had both, but had more negative than positive that I remember briefly. Monk had kind of both. I mean, a nerf to Inner Sanctuary, but a buff to everything else. And then Demon Hunter buffed the hell out of Sentry again. They really want to make it work. I'll try it again at some point. Crusader seemed like the most balanced because they got the least impact here. Blood Knight items, similar. Some positive adjustments there. Really trying to use Spear Fury and get you more value from a transfusion build, which makes sense. Barbarian had a lot of adjustments too, all positive though. So buff to Barbarian, buff to Wizard, adjustments to everyone else. Blood Knight and Crusader, the minimal amount of adjustments. So there you go. As a Wizard main, I'm a fan of the buffs. I just got off the Wizard though, so I won't be back for a while. But again, I like all of these changes. Let me know what impacts you the most for your class. And yeah, let me know what your opinion is, as well as what I recommended, where they should really show the whole description of the essence, and then just show that what the buff is or the adjustment is to the number, so that way we really understand what it's like. We can draw more conclusions in this sort of format. So let me know what you think in the comments below, guys, and I hope to see you in a video soon.